Hello everyone and welcome back. Tonight, I have for you a very special video. Tonight, the amazing creepyfox will narrate for you two terrifying true stories and I will be drawing them. Before we begin, a quick announcement. For my patrons, the first video on my Patreon will be about 3 unsolved crime mysteries and I will release it by the beginning of next week. If you're not my Patreon and want to support me there and watch these amazing exclusive videos, you can find the link below. But for now guys, grab your flashlight and follow me into the darkness.
So, my story is from 7 years ago, when my friends and I were teenagers. We went to school in a small town, and as you might expect, there really wasn't that much to do, especially during the summertime. One time, I was feeling especially adventurous. I had gotten it in my head that we should go into this abandoned research facility that was on the other side of town. At first, my friends didn't want to go, and they thought it was a bad idea. Of course it was. That was the point. There were 3 of us, and we spent a couple of hours playing video games. That's until we became bored. Soon after they changed their mind, so we waited until it got dark and started our adventure. We walked across town because none of us had a car yet, and we took a trail with a big sign that said, "No trespassing." After that, all we had to do was go across some fields, and there it was. This was the strangest building within walking distance. It was a large building, with 4 floors and 4 wings on each floor. All the entrances were locked, so we had to find a more creative way in. The back side of the building had a balcony on the 2nd floor. In order to reach it, we had to climb onto a metal crate by helping each other up. Then after that, we had to go across a ledge a couple of feet until we could get onto the balcony. Luckily, this wasn't a problem for any of us. I was the first to make it onto the balcony, and I'll admit, I was pretty uncomfortable waiting for my friends to go up there. There was an open doorway with complete darkness on the inside. I shined my light inside. I was so excited, but at the same time, I was a bit nervous. After all, what have I gotten ourselves into? They managed to join me on the balcony, and together we walked. When we got inside, it was like a whole different world in there. Honestly, I've never seen anything like this before. The floors were covered in rubble and broken windows, and beneath us, they would end up making noise whenever we walked. It was easy to let your imagination get the best of you, especially in a place like this. And after all, none of us wanted to be at the back of the group. We explored the 2nd floor and the main floor pretty quickly. After that, we take a brief detour to the basement until we realize how much water is inside. There was knee-high green water at the bottom of the steps that led down to the basement. So, instead, we decided to go up to the 3rd floor. Then, we heard something. Hearing something in that abandoned building was definitely not something we were going to expect. We followed the noise until we discovered the source of it. It was a speaker, and it was making continuous static noise. In this room, there were old toys laying on the ground and cartoon drawings all over the wallpaper. As we're looking at this, one of my friends says, "Wait, stop. I hear something." We immediately stop what we're doing and we listen. We wait for about 5 minutes. Complete silence. Then we hear a loud noise. It sounded off from below our floor. Then we hear somebody moving around downstairs. I can now see the looks on my friends' faces. We had to leave, and we had to leave now. If we encounter whoever's making that noise, best case scenario is that everything goes alright. Worst case scenario, we run into somebody that we should have not run into. We're on the 3rd floor and whatever was there is somewhere below us. We can't go down the stairs because that's likely the fastest way to run into the person. So we decide to get on the roof and hide, or see if we could find a way down. Thankfully, we found the ladder. It was a bit of a jump down, but eventually we ended up getting down. Running into the woods was a huge sigh of relief, and thankfully we were now home free. As we're now resting, we're looking back at the building, but we see no cars outside. Clearly, whoever was inside the building must have been there for a long time. Considering we saw no car there, they could have not just arrived shortly before. This happened this year, actually. I'm in a club at my school. They meet during lunchtime, so often people will bring cookies or other sweets to the meetings. I was up around 10 making some cookies. That's when my neighbor messaged me, wanting to know if I was still up. I said I was and wanted to know why. He then explained how there was someone in his house the other night, and when he got home from work, he thought they might have been in my house as well. I said thank you for the heads up, but I was just making cookies for the club I was in. He said okay and that I should get some sleep. He stopped messaging me after that, which I probably thought he was going to sleep, so I went back to making food. Our kitchen is connected to a door that leads to our backyard, and one that leads to our basement. That's important later. Being as I get nervous pretty easily, and the basement door is in our kitchen, I thought to show myself that nobody was down there, I would go and check it out. The basement, while being the weirdest place in the house, is also the warmest. It was November, so it was getting pretty cold outside. Immediately as I stepped in, I felt the warm air. After checking everything down there, I finally checked the other room that was down there. I was happy to say that I found nothing. Like I said, it is warmer down there, so I figured I could stay in there a little bit longer. We also have a dog in our family. He's still pretty young and liked to get into things, so that's why I always lock the door. I was on the floor enjoying the warmth, and that's when I heard my dad call out my name. "Winter, are you down there?" "Yes, Dad, I'm right here," I told him as I heard him walk away. I had maybe been down there for around 15 minutes, and that's when I started feeling like something was up. I began to imagine if somebody was really down here with me. That quickly made me run out of the basement, up the stairs where I was greeted with colder air. I turned off the light to the basement, and then I closed the door. The only doors that have locks in our house are only 2 rooms. No others. Me and my brother's rooms are in the hallway at the opposite ends, and in the middle of the hallway is one of the other rooms. I headed into my room and laid down in my bed. I was probably only asleep for about an hour or something, and that's when I heard footsteps in my room, followed by a tap on my shoulder. I was going to pretend to be asleep, but that's when I heard my brother's voice say, "Wake up. Is Dad up or something?" Now, my brother's room is pretty soundproof. It used to be my dad's room and office. I sat up and said, "No, he shouldn't be. Why? What's going on?" I thought he would say something along the lines of, "I'm a little bit hungry," or maybe something else like, "I can't sleep." What he said was something else though, and sometimes I just play that sentence over and over in my head. His exact words were, "Well, there's somebody downstairs by the kitchen. Are you sure he isn't up?" I didn't even know how to react to that. The thought of him being in the basement and walking by him is something that really got to me. I got up, I grabbed my brother's hand, and slowly, we went down the hall towards the room with the lock. I told him to stay there while I went back to my room and grabbed my phone. From there, I ran back. At this point, I didn't care if the man had heard me. I only wanted my brother to be alright. As quietly as I could, I closed the door and locked it, and then sat next to my brother. I then messaged my dad about the situation and the fact I couldn't hear our dog. I sent the message, and within a second, I heard very loud footsteps going down the stairs. Now, this was probably the part I should have not done, but hearing Dad's footsteps gave me the confidence to get my phone out again and run to the door and record. At this part, I could finally be glad our front door doesn't open easily, and nor does our side door. Because the moment the man saw me and my dad, he tried for the door. Unsuccessful. He then tried the side door. Again, nothing. In all the commotion, I thankfully managed to get the man's face on camera for a second. In a final attempt to get away, the man grabbed a pan from our counter, threw it against the window, and then jumped out. My brother heard the window break and came running down as my dad got on the phone. It's been a couple of months since then, and no other similar things have happened in the neighborhood, as far as I can tell. I'm not sure if he was ever found, but after looking at our house, we found out how he got in. It turns out that one of the rooms had their windows open, so most likely that's where they got inside.
Hello there, and thank you so much for listening. I am so thankful that creepyfox helped me with this video by narrating the stories. If you haven't already, please sub to his channel because he's an amazing narrator and a very nice guy. And if you do, tell him I sent you. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. And if you like my videos and want to see more, subscribe to my channel. And I will see you all in my next video.